You're listening to the Masonic Lite podcast. Starring Pete Ruggieri, Larry Maris, and Jason Lewis. This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. So sit back and enjoy some Masonic conversation without pretension. And now, here's your hosts, Pete, Larry, and Jason.
And Jack.
Hey, that's me.
Hey, everybody, welcome. It's episode 40-something or other.
44?
Episode 44.
First one in the new year?
That's correct. And if you guys have never heard the show before, we're stupid. So just remember that. If you're a new listener, you can start listening right here. Plus, the stuff that we've already recorded, you probably wouldn't enjoy anyway, because who knows. So we have two guests today. We're going to be talking to Bryan L, and we're going to be talking to Ron Carson.
Neither of which is stupid.
Very intelligent men.
Bryan Hill's a big-wig in many York Rite bodies. I think that we'll speed talk his resume before we...
Yeah, we'll do that.
And our newly installed...
But we've already been, we've already probably recorded before this, you hear this. We've already recorded like an hour of show. So we're going to go around pretty quickly, do a quick introduction, and... So, Larry, you can't talk. By the way, Larry's got laryngitis.
It's laryngitis.
Laryngitis.
Hopefully it's permanent.
And so we'll just pretend. Larry, what have you done Masonically the past 2 weeks? I've done nothing, but I went to Goose and Gridiron.
Well,
thank you very much.
Well, we haven't recorded for a month, so we need a... What's your month recap in 30 seconds?
Larry still has done nothing. Oh, no, he went to the. Okay, Larry went to the installation of the Grand Master, and you also went to the presentation of the district deputy.
Yep, and I went to the Grand Master's Ball.
And the Grand Master's Ball. How I bet that was exciting.
Petition committee. Seems I'm chairing that for 476.
He's now the petition committee chairman. I'm translating because he has no voice.
I've done a lot, but I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, good. We don't want to listen. And Jeff Moyer, what have you done over the past month Masonically?
Well, you've pretty much mentioned it. We get the annual grand banquet, Larry Durr's presentation, Ron Carson's presentation. Lodge 43 had a stated meeting last night, and we have 2 extra meetings coming up this month. And I think that's about it.
You were also a past Masters night for the 5th Masonic District.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was a great
fun.
evening.
Jack Harley, what have you been doing the past month?
What? I was installed Most Excellent High Priest in my Royal Arch chapter.
Congratulations.
So I'll be running that show for a year, unless they throw me out. That's the big thing. We've got Grotto coming up and some other basic stuff, but yeah, it's pretty much. And I gave up my chair as treasurer, so I am now principal steward at our lodge. I'm responsible for the dinners before the meeting. So if anybody's hungry on a second Tuesday night around 6 o'clock, come to Ephrata Lodge and we'll feed you.
Jason.
Same as everybody else. I did the the Grand Master's installation and then our new Junior Warden's presentation, and Ronald B. Carson, District Deputy Grand Master of the First Masonic District, which we'll hear more about. But I was at those, no longer secretary, starting my journey to the east as senior deacon. So 2021 will be my year, and that's about it. But we do have some shameless plugs this episode, if I may. Do I have your permission? Pete?
You may.
You're the editor.
Or we could do it at the end of the show so they remember.
Well, I've been putting out a plug on Facebook asking about music for this show. We just kind of used the canned music in our recording software. But I would like to get some music made by Masons. Somebody's actually making Masonic music. That's wonderful. But if you're a Mason and you're in a band or whatever it is that you do, we'd like to feature it. So this is going to be our first episode that some of our transition music is actually from a brother, and this is a brother goes by Justin Michael or Justin Bryan, at least as far as his petition said, from a band called YOUTHFOOL out of Philadelphia. So check out YOUTHFOOL, YOUTHFOOL, and we're going to play a couple tracks by YOUTHFOOL on the show. It's got a great 80s new wave kind of vibe, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Also, Muscovites
sure.
at at AMD Week or Masonic Week, February 10th. The Kremlin Penza is going to go down and confer that degree. Check our Facebook page. Brother Seth Anthony can share some information about that as well. But if you're going to Masonic Week and you want to do a join the Muscovites, which is a retired and now renewed Oddfellows degree open to anybody in a fraternal organization, we'll be doing that February 10th. But that's all I got. So should we read this, speed read, the resume of our first guest?
We're going to do that.
Pour a cup of coffee.
All right, you ready? So we have Bryan L. Hill, who is past master of Badger Lodge, number 325, past high priest of Monroe Royal Arch, chapter number 208, past thrice illustrious master of Bethlehem Council, past commander of Samuel Jackson Lodge. Samuel S. Yo Commandery. 32nd degree Mason. We're going to start shortening these. Member of the Royal Order of Scotland. Past governor of the William Allen York Rite College. Past sovereign master of Lux X. I can't even say this. Lux X Tenebris Council. Allied Masonic degrees. Now member of Juto Council. He has the Scarlet Cord. Knight commander of the Red Branch of Erie. It's snowy up there. Past sovereign of
Eli, or whatever.
Erie? That's an R.
Just keep
E-R-I.
going. Just keep going.
Erie?
No, it's Erie.
Erie.
Red Branch of Erie. We all got that.
Past sovereign of Mary Conclave Knights of the Red Cross of Constantine and Dependent Orders. Member of Northeast Council of Knight Masons. District Deputy Grand High Priest and Grand Holy Royal Arch Chapter of Pennsylvania. Member of the Knights York Cross of Honor, past master of Exclusior Mark Lodge, past president Lehigh Valley Joshua Association, member of the Commemorative Order of St. Thomas of Acon, warrant member and past master of the Kite,
huge. Not just for money, but for dues cards.
Of the Kite and Key Lodge, which is the traditional observance lodge in Allentown. Member of the 6th degree of operatives.
We're about halfway through.
That's page 1. I know, that's why we're doing this. Well, this is a good one.
Nobody cares what you do, Larry.
Oh, if you guys keep yapping.
Larry, you're not talking to a microphone. Just shut up.
If you're going to keep yapping, it's going to take longer. Fourth pillar, Holy Royal Arch Knights Templar Priests. Warrant, Worship Master, Albion Mark Lodge. Member of 4th grade Royal Order Masonic Knights of the Scarlet Cord. Member of the Masonic Order of Athelstan. Scribe Preceptor, Pilgrims Preceptors. Almost done. Member of the August Order of Light. Warrant Secretary, August Order of Light. Member, 7th degree, Pennsylvania College of, I can't even say that, Societas Rosicrucians and Civita, blah, 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 blah. Member of the Rose Chapter Hermetic Order of Spiritual Knights and the Great Chancellor, 6th degree of Rectified Scottish Rite. That's it, Larry. We're done.
No, you're not.
Why?
You forgot his. I guess he's trying to deny his most important role
he's a member
as
of
a
Grotto.
sheik of Ubar Grotto. So you're all a bunch of slackers. That's what we're trying to say. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. Okay, I guess we're really ready now. Hey, we have a very special guest with us today.
We're such
and there's
pros.
probably 50 different names probably before your name, like Sir Knight, as well as like, I don't know how, the illustrious...
Very reverend knight.
Bryan Hill.
Very worshipful brother, yes.
So, Bryan, yeah, you're, a lot of us are involved in a lot of organizations with you, but when we see your Masonic resume, you're in like 50 things I didn't even know about.
Well, it's a big Masonic world out there, and when you get to be my age, you are invited to join a lot of different groups because you're a special kind of person, I would like to think.
One of the things, Larry, our good friend Larry, is here, but he has laryngitis, which could be the greatest thing ever for
He has laryngitis.
How did you do that, Pete?
This will be the best episode ever because Larry's not here.
And Jeffrey Myers,
Myers.
Moyer.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Jeff Myers, who's a Mason too from Delaware County.
I thought it was Maurer.
He's here too. So Bryan, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself on a non-Masonic level. So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the what's known as a Slate Belt up in northeastern Pennsylvania. Went to college at East Stroudsburg University, where I got a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology of all things.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, it helped later on when I became the warden of a correctional facility, having gone from selling Volkswagens and Audis, and one day and then the next day I was the warden of a correctional facility.
Well, you're eminently qualified with that car dealership experience.
Oh, absolutely. You get to know people. I tended bar for a while, too, in my very, very early days, and you get to know people that way, too, and how to treat people when they're
Bryan.
not exactly themselves.
Bryan, how many cars did you sell in prison?
None.
He obviously wasn't a good car salesman because he took a career change.
I was making the big bucks. I didn't have to sell any cars in the jail, for God's sakes.
So did you come from a Masonic family?
No, there were no Masons in my family on either side.
So what was the impetus? Where did you get involved in Freemasonry in the beginning?
Well, right after I became the warden, a good friend of mine, actually and a fraternity brother from college, gave me a Friend the Friend brochure. That was back in the 80s, and I read about Masonry, had no idea what Masonry was, and it sounded very interesting, and I said, how do I become a member? And that's it. You get the petition, and the rest of it is history.
And where would that Blue Lodge be, the original Blue Lodge?
Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Barger Lodge, number 325.
Wait. I can look it up. Never mind.
Okay. So since then, your Masonic resume gets kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So, how did that go? Did people just see that you had your checkbook open and they just started piling on?
Well, no, I made up my mind that I was going to go through the chairs in my Blue Lodge before I did anything else. And then after that, I joined Scottish Rite. Never been very active in Scottish Rite. And then it was, hey, this chapter thing, I have to find out about that. And, well, if you're in chapter, you might as well get into Royal and Select Master Masons, and then the Commandery, and then they just started coming in. And when I became a district deputy grand high priest, somehow that anoints you, that people want you in their organization because they think you're important or special.
Is that what it is? Okay.
So you go, Jack, that's your next for you.
Well, you know who I'll have to replace for that then?
Dr. Heinzen. Yes. Oh.
That remains to be seen.
Jason, you're giving me a stare. You got a good question.
So on your resume, which we read earlier, maybe, what is some of the more really difficult bodies to get into that you're a member of?
Probably the most difficult is the rectified Scottish Rite. It's the great Priory of America, Chevaliers Beneficent de la City Sante, and they say that there's none plus ultra means there's nothing higher than the rectified Scottish Rite.
That reminds me of the funniest punchline of any joke ever. You don't even need to know the joke. The punchline, rectum, damn near killed him. How to take a serious thing and just ruin it. Oh, so we recently were in a degree together. You helped me with one of my goals, the Royal Order of Scotland.
Yes.
So when did you become involved in that?
Oh, about 20 years ago.
And you actually got the degree in Edinburgh?
No, Washington, D.C., but I have been to the big show over in Edinburgh. In fact, I'm going there again this July because it's so much fun to be over there where you can wear your kilt. All of the real men are wearing kilts over there.
Yeah.
And you want to know?
People call it a toga.
Yeah, you probably want to know what's under a kilt.
Why did you just put your hand on Bryan's thigh when he said kill?
Well, it's a very muscular thigh.
Do I have to say it again?
No, you're good. You're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff. You look like you got something important to share.
No, that's it. I don't have anything important to say. I just got corrected on how to use the mic.
So back to your special Masonic. What is one of your favorite Masonic stories? I asked Larry. I said, we can drone on, and Jack likes to call it apron sniffing when we talk too much about all their accomplishments.
Yeah.
So
Get away.
Larry just showed up. And
You told me
he's
to
staring
fill
at
in
us.
for you. Get away. You look like shit.
I am just making sure you're not screwing up.
Well, Larry, did you just breathe some helium?
No, that's my voice.
If this were television, you would.
I actually think it's the best radio voice I've had in a long time.
Larry, you said don't screw up, but I'm filling in for you. That's kind of what, an oxymoron or moron? Or
The last show you did, and actually it's Pete's fault, but it was awful.
So, Brian.
Let me tell you this,
yeah,
now that Larry's here, because I've been waiting for him to come here. On episode number 40, there was a big discussion about how the Masonic Village in Elizabethtown stole the idea for the name of their tavern, the Goose and Gridiron.
Yeah, the one that Larry stole from 500 years ago?
300 years ago, to be precise. The whole story is the village was going to call it the Holmesburg Tavern because that's the name of the stone that the Grand Lodge building was built from.
I thought that was a prison.
It is. It's a prison in Philadelphia. And I told the executive director that, and she said, well, do you have any suggestions? So I said, yes, Goose and Gridiron. And she wanted to know why. And I told her about it's the 300th anniversary of the United Grand Lodge of England, our mother Grand Lodge, and how it was this year and how appropriate it would be since they couldn't call it the Tun Tavern because of the rights for the Tun Tavern were taken. So they did their due diligence with their lawyers, and they said, yeah, it's a great idea. So, Larry, it was my idea, and they didn't steal it from you.
You dirty.
Larry does think the world revolves around him. But
Does that mean our breakfasts are clandestine?
So Brian, what is your title up there? President of the Residents?
I just finished a 2-year term as president of the Residents Association. So now I'm the immediate past president.
Can we still lodge a complaint through you?
Sure, and
you
you'll
get to
get the
pick what
same
kind of
consideration you would have gotten when I was the president.
Because
None.
Jason and I were up there for, I think it was Larry Durr's presentation. We were going to have dinner at the Three Loaves. Well, they close at 2. And the Goose and Gridiron's only open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. We were there on a Wednesday. But I was told that if you're not a resident, you can't get served.
Call your mother.
Well, why do they advertise it in the Pennsylvania Freemason then? They shouldn't even put it out there.
Well, they're trying to sucker you in, and apparently they did a good job.
Well, yeah, the word sucker is apropos. Yeah.
It's only one night a month. Don't worry about it.
I did hear, though, that is every eating establishment on campus now, you have to be accompanied by a resident?
No.
No.
Only to order
you can
alcohol.
still go to the cafe. You can go to the Village Cafe, the 1911 Cafe that's right in the Grand Lodge Hall. In fact, if you see me before you come in, I'll get you in.
Probably if I tell them I know you, we'll get booted out. But so it's 1911. Is that in the Grand Lodge Hall that they?
That's when they opened Grand Lodge, so they call the cafe the 1911.
Okay.
Hey, Masonic Lite fans. If you're in the area on February 10th, Seth Anthony and myself and our guest Bryan Hill will be at Masonic Week down in Arlington, Virginia, conferring the Royal Order of the Muscovites degree. And if you want to come visit Kremlin Penza, you can go to Masonic Lite's show notes or Facebook page and find the event page to register. Also, coming up at the Lancaster Masonic Center, Saturday, March 3rd, Lodge 43, my home lodge, will be presenting a lecture series with the Reverend Dr. and Brother Christopher Rodkey, who's been a guest on our show before, and also Jason Richards and John Ruar from our friends at the Masonic Roundtable. and that event is running 12:30 to 5. And again, in our show notes on our Facebook page, you can find information for that event. The event's free. Do need to register on Eventbrite. So again, visit our website and our show notes, and all the information on these events will be there.
Hey, and we're back, and hopefully when this airs, we'll all still be alive, because Larry has consumption, and he is coughing his tuberculosis all over us.
And he looks as bad as he sounds. That's the thing. It's like I feel so bad for Larry.
I don't.
Jeff's just eyeing up the permanent host spot.
So, Bryan, Larry's trying to get you to tell another story, and if you can do it as best you can without saying any Masonic secrets.
Well, first of all,
We can beep things too.
yeah, well, our listeners out there probably know that who are Masons, that there's a sign of distress and there are words of distress. And I, for years, inspected the jail every Thursday, and I was always afraid I was going to hear the distress call. What would I do if I heard some inmate giving the sign of distress of a Mason? It never happened, thank goodness. But I don't know
According
what I
to
would have done.
Masonic lore, you'd have to let him escape somehow.
Yeah. Well, what we learned in the jail was verify, verify, verify. I would have to make sure they were really a Mason and didn't somehow
I heard
clandestinely
all
get
these stories from the Civil War of all these prisoners
absolutely.
magically escaping from the North and the South just because
Imagine
of the Masonic
Bryan
affiliation.
breaking that trust just as soon as it
in
was.
fact, there was a prisoner of war camp in Ohio where they had Confederate officers, and their treatment was superb. And there's a professor at East Stroudsburg University that wrote a paper on the reason for that was they were all Freemasons.
Larry, were you there? At the Civil War prison, just checking out. Oh my goodness. So where are you going today? You have a Masonic event that you're trying to get to?
Yes, National Sojourners.
Wow.
Yeah, National Sojourners is a Masonic organization for those who have been in the military.
Now that
doesn't count the Navy, so Larry can't get in.
well, maybe soon, because I heard originally it was officers
Sail
only.
the seven
That's correct.
seas
And then they
in the
changed
Navy.
it to NCOs.
Senior NCOs, yes.
And now it's enlisted and even first responders.
It's
No?
enlisted honorable discharge.
Okay.
Yeah. A first responder could get in as a honorary member.
Okay.
Yeah.
Soon it will be wives and dogs.
But in a few weeks, more like a month, Bryan and I will also, you will be at Masonic Week, but Bryan and I will also be at Masonic Week to confer the Noble Order of Muscovites.
Yes. Not a Masonic order, but
No.
there seems to be a great deal of interest.
Is
because it's
Alan
kind of
Moyer
fun.
going to be there?
Is who?
Alan Moyer?
Yes, he will.
Yeah, he'll be the
Reprising
Tsarina.
his role, yes. With a Scottish accent.
For you folks that don't know about Masonic Week, I think if you go on it's like yorkrite.org or yorkrite.com, you can
That's
find
correct.
their
Allied
website.
Masonic degrees.
And the first time I went, I was just amazed. I thought I was at a convention of Swiss generals. There is a lot of
Bling, I think,
bling.
is the word.
Yeah. A lot of people that are collecting sashes and pins and lots of regalia. But it's pretty neat. So if you bring a new degree down there, people are going to just throw money at you to get the degree they haven't gotten before.
Yeah, well, the local AMD council will be conferring St. Lawrence the Martyr degree on Thursday evening, I believe it is. I don't know if you're going to be in that or not, Pete.
I have the scripts at my house, but nobody's given me a part. But I will be down there. I'll be hawking my wares.
Yeah.
Of
Wearing your hawks?
mercenary or other motives. I'll be selling scarves. So
how'd that Togo thing go for you?
I did not send any scarves to the Grand Master of Togo, but I did meet him, and he was a really nice man. Any big travel coming up international? Because you go to the UK a lot.
Well,
for Masons.
as I mentioned, we're going to be going to Scotland in June and taking a tour of the Highlands. We'll end up in Edinburgh, and we'll go to a meeting of the Royal Order of Scotland, which is pretty doggone neat. They meet in the Grand Lodge building in Edinburgh, and it's really a neat place.
Now, at the Royal Order, they keep a chair open in the East for the King of England.
King of Scotland.
The King of Scotland,
Right.
who we don't currently have.
No. So we have a deputy who is also called the Governor of the Royal Order.
Hello, Governor.
Yeah. Curiously, the last King of Scotland was Edward, who advocated for his American love of his life.
That's correct.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I just remember I'm watching The Crown. I'm watching The Crown, so it's all fresh.
Yeah, I could tell you all this stuff.
So
yeah.
will Charles be invited? Will he be a King of Scotland? I don't really know much about the monarchy.
No, Charles nor any of his sons are Masons. Charles was turned off, as I understand, by his uncle, Lord Mountbatten, who didn't speak very highly of the Masons, so Charles never joined. When I was over there this last February, there was a lot of talk that they had approached Prince Harry to become a Mason and become the new Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England. Wouldn't that be cool? Can you imagine what a recruiting tool that is? Hey, if it's cool enough for Prince Harry.
Are gingers allowed? You realize nobody can hear you.
Larry, when are you demitting? When are you demitting? From Freemasonry.
What?
You heard me.
Kiss off. It's the last time I'll ever ask you to be on this show.
Thank God.
So, Bryan, you're actually a listener, which is very strange. You're like one of 9 listeners of our show.
Well, it's only because I wanted to know what frivolity happened on this show, and I was not disappointed.
That's a big word.
And as I told Larry earlier, my wife, who doesn't have a great sense of humor, why she married me, I'm not sure, but
because
she said those guys are really funny. She was laughing out loud. Oh, my God. Oh. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Okay. So I got to tell you about.
Oh, okay.
Can I tell you about?
Yeah, because I had a big pause there that he was going to have to edit out.
You almost looked like Larry.
Yeah. As you know, I have to leave, but one last story. I joined a group called the Square Men in February. A very good friend of mine over there invited me to join. It's a body from Scotland, and they screwed up and they gave a warrant to a shed, they're called, in England, thinking that Wolverhampton somehow was in Scotland, and it's not. So anyway, I went in there, and my friend cautioned me, don't wear your best suit. So I was a little bit terrified by this. While I was waiting for them to open the meeting, one of the members came out with a water glass with 2 fingers of scotch in it and said, this will tide you over.
Nice.
Until you get started. So I'm just going to tell you about one part of the ceremony.
Okay.
They handed me a piece of chalk and they said, draw a square on the floor. And I drew this perfect square. And he said to me, you call that a square? That's a box. A Mason should know what a square is.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
So 4 of them grabbed my legs and my arms and swung me back and forth while singing The Daring Young Man on the Flying Trapeze as my butt is hitting the floor and erasing the square. Let me tell you, they out grotto.
Oh, nice.
Well, we probably couldn't do that in many lodges in America because the weight requirements of lifting most members and then the backs of the elderly men doing the swinging.
But it was really a fun group, and I can't wait to get back and sit on the sidelines and laugh at the candidate like they did at me.
Take a microphone with you. We'll give you a press pass. You can be an official correspondent.
Okay.
All right. Well, Bryan, thank you so much. We'll interview you again in the future, probably down at Masonic Week. We know your time is pressing.
Well, it's all Larry's fault. If he wouldn't have gotten himself sick, we could have gotten together.
And we had this scheduled for the other night, but weather kind of screwed us up.
It tricked us.
Yeah, it looked like it was bad out, but it was not bad at all in Elizabethtown. It was completely fine.
Yeah, and I'm from the Poconos. You guys are a bunch of wimps down here.
And Jason had to drive past Elizabethtown anyway. So it's not like he was going to go out of his way.
Seth and myself were ready to go. I said to Larry, do you want to do this? And Jack couldn't come because it was bad in Ephrata. So it is what it is. Here we are.
Hey, we're here. No one was killed or maimed. It's all good.
Yeah, I'd like to come back and tell you some more.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you
know,
back.
I'd like you to replace Larry. That's what I would like.
Ooh, I second that motion.
All in favor?
Well, obviously he is not irreplaceable since he didn't contribute very much to this.
And he has no voice or microphone to vote against, so it looks like the motion
he's too weak
carries.
to fight back, so it's all good.
All right, Bryan, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
If you're not in a hurry, you can stay there, but we have other guests here on our side we're going to talk to right after the break.
Oh, wait, Bryan, could you get this check?
Sure.
We're going to come right back, and we're going to speak with newly installed District Deputy Grand Master of the First Masonic District of Pennsylvania, free and accepted Masons, Ronald Carson. Back, and we have a special last-minute guest here, Brother Ron Carson. Ron is a listener. He is a past master of Lamberton Lodge. He is recently just the past district deputy, or no, I'm sorry, the past principal of the School of Instruction for the First Masonic District, and now he is the district deputy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Brother Pete, and it's pleasure to be here with you guys this morning. I just wish you wouldn't have had me follow up Brother Bryan Hill, because that's going to be a tough act to follow.
He sets a high bar. Yes.
He does, and I'll do my best for you fellas. I didn't think I'd see Brother Pete here today because I thought he was down District 5, but Brother Pete, it's good to see you.
I'm allowed to be here for breakfast.
Oh, man.
I'm allowed to be here for breakfast. I think I have a special dispensation from someone.
Let's be perfectly honest. Ron is a listener, but we know that Ron is a listener because somebody has to be that filter and, whisper tender counsel in our ears in case things get squirrely.
The filter is getting tighter, Brother Jason.
we
feel the boot on your neck. Right?
Where did episode 23 go? We'll never know.
I always like to remind everyone, just think about how crazy this show would be if I ever got kicked out of the Masons and I had no filter. So that's why they keep me around.
Well, we can work on that,
You're
Brother
not aware
Pete.
of it, but District 5 is working on that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Nice knowing you.
So, Ron,
Brother Pete, before I forget, I just would like to say thank you to all the brothers that came out last Friday to support me. It certainly was one of the coldest nights of the year, but a very well-attended meeting, and things went very well, and I just want to pass on my thanks to the members of our district and the other districts that came out that evening.
Yeah, and that was for your official, what you call it, installation, or what was the term?
I believe the technical term is a presentation.
Okay. And I heard you got a standing ovation, which was pretty first time ever.
I was a little nervous that evening, and I do vaguely remember standing up with everybody, but
I also heard another cool thing. That was the same room where you became a DMLA?
Actually, I became a DMLA at the Lancaster Masonic Center in the Blue Room, and I had every intention of having my presentation in the Blue Room, but was concerned about parking, weather, and seating, all three of which would have been a negative for the evening because we had ice on the ground. We wouldn't have had very much parking. one of the great things, Brother Tom LaBall and Brother Scott Hoover were able to find the Bible that I became a DMLA on, and I was able to take my oath on that Bible also.
So you've been in the Masonic fraternity since how old then? How old were you when you were in DMLA?
He was 4, I think, when he joined DMLA.
Maybe so. 13 and a half is when I joined the Lancaster chapter order of DMLA. And I was fairly active, actually very active in it until I was about 18 and a half and went off to college in the military. And I didn't actually restart my Masonic journey until probably about 12 years later, until I petitioned and became a member of Lamberton Lodge in Lancaster.
And then they asked you to be worshipful master like 10 seconds later?
Well, maybe you guys can edit this part, but I did make eye contact. But honestly, Pete, I would never regret a moment of it. It's been
Other than sitting in lodge with Pete.
And getting to know you, Brother Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
So anything on the Right Worshipful's agenda this year for the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania? Anything that's a highlight that we should be thinking about?
I think there's a lot that the Right Worshipful Grand Master has on his agenda over the next 2 years. First of all, I just want to say that the meetings that our district have been out and were able to attend a meeting with the Right Worshipful Grand Master have all had nothing but positive comments to say about the presentation, the personality, the general feel of the meeting, and hopefully that continues throughout the state, because I think he's going to get a lot of support from Masons in general around Pennsylvania just because of the way he handles the meetings. And
at our stated meeting on Tuesday, it was mentioned that his sense of humor was really well appreciated at the meeting in Hershey.
You are correct, Brother Jack. And I was the brunt of
You were the runt. I mean the brunt
of most of those jokes. And I'll just share a story with you real quick. I was at 2 meetings, which I was early for. However, I was last, and I found out that last is considered late. And I was also late for my dinner that evening. And Right Worshipful Grand Master had let that known. And yes, his sense of humor is refreshing.
Good.
Yeah, what I took out of at the end when he calls on all the Right Worshipfuls, to me it seems like they're talking more about us than themselves. So that is refreshing.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of sitting with the current Right Worshipful, the current deputy, and some of the past Right Worshipful past Grand Masters. It gets so complicated in Pennsylvania. At a Tall Cedars thing in Wildwood last year, and I showed up late. And apparently I got the memo wrong. I didn't know I was supposed to be wearing a tuxedo. So I came in street clothes, and the only seat left was at their table with all the... just, great sense of humor from all those guys. And
I agree. And they are 100% on top of what our fraternity needs, I think, right now.
Does he have any, big agendas, big things that he's looking to do?
Well, one of the things that's going to affect all the lodges is we're going to have at least 2 meetings opened in the Entered Apprentice Masons degree, and those evenings will be the official visit and the past masters nights, and that way all the fellow craft and Entered Apprentice Masons can come out and enjoy a stated meeting. I think that's a good start to getting guys a little more active instead of letting them wait 4 months until they're made a Master Mason. He's also really heavy into education and history and mentoring, and I know the mentoring is a vital role in all of our lodges, and I'm happy that one of my requirements is to mentor a candidate through the Master Builders program, and that is a requirement from all district deputies. And I had a great start at Lamberton Lodge with our mentoring committee, and I'm looking forward to working with the new members and showing them the ropes and getting them through the Master Builders program. There's also been some requirement changes as far as the degrees go. as I'm sure everybody knows, the third degree has become a challenge for us to get men certified to confer that degree. So what the new Grand Master has decided is that he's going to require either the third degree or the first and the second, so that a man may just have to be certified in the third degree instead of two. So I think that's going to help us with the Master Mason's degree.
Sounds like I can go back through the chairs because I think I'm certified in the first and second. I never learned the third. So I really couldn't be master again under previous rules.
Well, you would have to do that in District 5, Pete.
I would. It's a really nice. It's a really nice district deputy over there too. Yeah, with some experience.
Touche.
That's cruel. That's cruel.
So I think we need to give a shout out to a brother that's not here. I really like. Where am I going with this?
Yeah. Who?
Your employer, Brother George Grove.
Jidge.
So your employer is also a brother, and he's been very supportive
That's
of your
probably
time.
an understatement, Pete. But yes, he and his wife and the whole shop in general's been extremely supportive. George is not only my boss, but he was my first line signer. His son I was able to give all 3 degrees to, and really appreciate him.
So we'll
Pete.
give a plug to George J. Grove and Son.
Yeah.
Out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They did windows in my house. Ron came out and measured and actually was there for the install. But what else do you guys do for?
Window, siding, roofing, gutter, anything pretty much exterior residential.
How far do you guys travel for jobs? I guess it depends on how big, but
Well, as far as someone's willing to pay us.
but basically South Central Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Lancaster, Lebanon, York. We do get into Maryland sometimes.
So that's the plug that we're going to try and turn into a
Larry,
paying commercial.
Larry,
gig.
send them an invoice for that. Yeah.
Pete, is George bankrolling this episode? Is that the deal?
Well, hopefully we're going to get him to bankroll the future episodes. So
okay.
hey, we just gave you
All
a
right.
plug to Larry will make up some number that
I thought maybe
500,000 listeners in 85 countries, some kind of like fake fuzzy math.
I thought maybe you were looking for a free roof or gutters.
That's on the agenda. I'm hoping
the
for a
doghouse.
hailstorm.
Hey, I think investing in a podcast is good for your portfolio. So, I mean, this certainly could be George Grove's Masonic Lite podcast. I'm okay with that if you're listening, George.
Brought to you by George Grove and Sons. Is it and
We
Sons?
have no shame.
And
Single.
Sons. Single. And Son.
Singular, yes.
Aren't you lucky, George?
And I was also blessed to have the entire shop there for my presentation, too. So it was nice.
That's really awesome.
That's great.
But thank you, Pete, for bringing up.
Yeah,
Brother
no, I mean George is a good man.
Unlike Larry.
Absolutely correct.
Are you awake, Larry? Huh? Go back to sleep.
If you guys can't hear Larry, you're lucky.
He's over there wheezing.
We haven't even given him a microphone because it's pointless.
There's dribble coming down the corners of his mouth.
So, Ron, anything exciting coming up? Anything you're in the First Masonic District you have going on personally? That's like any of your kind of personal goals that, or are you keeping those close to your chest so far?
Well, I'll keep most of them close to my chest until Saturday at our workshop. But one of my major initiatives, obviously, is the youth groups. The DMLA doesn't necessarily need financial support, but they need advisors. They need children. They need kids to help that go. The Job's daughters seem to be okay with membership, but they need new robes, which is about $1,500, because you can see their dresses through their robes, and they're the things that I'd like to work on this year and the next 9 years. Fortunately, the finances are good with the DMLA and the Job's daughters, but they could still use the extra money for clothing, regalia, and those types of things, some of their events that they do. So I really want to pay particular attention to the youth groups. And just so you know, the DMLA, their dues are only $60, and that's a lifetime membership.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that from Brother Dave Barry up there. And he also mentioned that, sometimes that is just a little too much for some parents to want to maybe invest $60. So I suggested to Dave, and we're going to talk about that as a group, but even if they signed up 8 members, that's only $480 to us Masons. And
yeah, it seems like, the whatever Masonic jurisdiction, that lodge should maybe volunteer to donate that money.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that as a district, as 10 lodges, we can work together to meet those goals.
Is there an initiation fee or just the $60?
It's just the $60, and that's a lifetime membership, Jeff.
Wow.
Most of their expenses are handled by the International Order of DMLA.
Maybe we can get Dave Barry on the show to talk.
Dave would be an incredible.
I know, and I know one of our good friends who's the head of the Pennsylvania Youth Foundation. He agreed that he will be on the show, but only after he retires.
Maybe
he doesn't want to accidentally say anything to screw something up.
Maybe I should have taken his advice.
I think you've been good so far, and you've got a week to tell Jason to edit anything out you don't want.
I was just going to ask if I could hear my portion before it goes to air, because I have a feeling there might be something else put in there that I'm sure Jason can do that may not have been said here at this podcast.
Oh, goodness.
I'm just kidding.
No, I think we're pretty good.
No, but I do enjoy the podcast, and Jason's right. I have been a listener day one, and I wasn't asked to be a filter, but I'm happy being that filter.
In all fairness, we've really only had one conversation ever. So out of 40-some episodes, I'll take it.
Yeah, and I think, and that was Jack's fault.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus,
Jack.
but I think
You're famous.
Let's pick that scab for a minute.
I don't know enough of the degrees to actually say anything inappropriate.
Neither does Jack.
I was attending.
Turn to Judges, Chapter 12.
I was attending Civil Island Virtual Lodge, and Mike Hambrick was there, and they called on all the podcasters to speak, going around, final comments. And the conversation was about, whether these podcasts or these blogs or all these things that are popping up, like, HODAP and the Masonic Roundtable, whether we think we should or shouldn't seek the approval and the support of our Grand Lodges. And that conversation turned into, have you ever had your hand slapped by Grand Lodge? And I got up, and it was virtual, and I said, I did once. It was very nice. Our a prominent past master in our district, which was Ron at the time, and said only once did they say you should probably reconsider that particular episode. And Mike Hambrick on Facebook messaged me. He's like, I remember, and then he typed the word that was that was said.
But yeah,
I do enjoy listening to it. Like Brother Bryan Hill and some of the other speakers you have on there. It's nice getting somebody else's perspective and, learning things that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to pick up on.
Well, and I think with like Bryan, somebody could do like one of the educated podcasts could probably do a 10-hour serious interview with Bryan Hill about serious Masonic stuff.
He's one of those guys that after he's gone, there will be a short talk bulletin about Bryan Hill.
Yeah, but he is such.
He's that guy.
Besides him being in everything and doing all these cool things, he's a really cool, fun guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's just, I think one of the things our show tries to do is, we can talk to somebody like Bryan Hill, and we all respect and give him the reverence he deserves, but he's still a regular guy at heart. And we want people to see that you can be, a regular folk joking, fun guy, and still be, at the top of the craft. So,
yeah, unlike Larry Maris.
Man, Jeff, you're like kicking him when he's down.
Did you wake up again?
If I wasn't so weak, I'd choke you right.
You're my filter. You're my filter.
Larry's our token just master Mason on the show.
Yeah.
Since he doesn't want to take any offices above that, he doesn't want to.
Everyone at the table's very active.
He doesn't want to pay a Scottish
except for Larry.
He doesn't want to pay a Scottish Rite dues on time.
He's completely unwilling to join York Rite.
He just doesn't want to pay him, period.
Why don't you tell them what I do?
Hey, put the mic in front of your mouth, Larry.
I'm a member of the Academy of Masonic Knowledge.
Have you written anything?
Masonic Research.
Yes, I have. I presented papers to the Pennsylvania Lodge of Research. I knew Gene Hare when
me.
You too.
Are you name dropping?
No, when he was master of the Pennsylvania Lodge of Research. I mean, I know Gene was always funny. So, but
you're funny looking.
Mention the things I do, you bozos. Guys, master. I'm happy being a master mason. Yes, I am.
And
nobody asked you.
And a grotto.
Nobody
member,
asked you.
And tall cedars.
And
all the other
a
things.
charter member of this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was Pete and I that put this thing together.
All right, go back to sleep, Larry.
Take your medicine.
Yeah, give him some NyQuil.
That was Larry Maris of Lamberton Lodge.
Somebody called Larry Menace earlier today, and I just about lost it. All right,
Ron, we're gonna wrap this up. Ron, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome to come on anytime. Anytime you guys have an official announcement, if you want, we'll always record it. And, we'll always put it on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, record it. We may not put it on the show.
Well, no, and we can also send anything out on our Facebook page
Thanks, Jack.
Gotta make
at
it
any
funny.
time. So let us know.
Absolutely.
No, and I would appreciate that, because one of my other things is I want to have better communication between the lodges and the people who are interested in what our district's doing. So I will probably take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do it.
So
We
I
got your
thank you
back,
guys.
man.
You're welcome.
You can
Well,
actually
good luck.
hear.
Yeah, we all got your back.
We love you.
Thanks, guys. It's
I'm
much
from 10
See
feet
you
behind
Saturday.
it, but we got it.
8 to 11.
I got your back from Chester County.
Yeah, Pete loves you from District 5.
Thanks, gentlemen. Jack, thank you.
Oh, God.
You're about to enter
Corpora Obscurum.
the realm of weird fraternal organization.
Leave your Freemasonry behind.
Prepare to meet druids, caliphs, and wild creatures.
Knock thrice.
And enter at your own risk.
The 7 deadly sins. The 7 liberal arts and sciences. The 7 days of the week. Oh, and the 7 wise men? Wait, what is this? Why, it's the Order of Heptasophs, of course. The Order of Heptasophs was a fraternal organization established on April 6, 1852, in New Orleans, Louisiana. The name is derived from Greek roots meaning 7 and wise, and means 7 wise men. Get it? Heptasoph? Okay. The organization was originally called the 7 Wise Men, and it may have been formed by graduates of the early mystical 7 or rainbow societies that were popular college fraternities in the South during this period. Albert Stevens noted at least a strong similarity in their rituals and nomenclature, an ornate pseudo-history dating back to 1104 BC and the first Zoroaster. Allegedly, the ancient king of Persia would select 6 magi who were skilled in both statecraft and occult arts, and they would meet in a subterranean cavern beneath the royal palace at Ispahan. What is known is that after being introduced in New Orleans in April 1852, a grand conclave of Louisiana was set in June of that year and incorporated in 1854. A supreme conclave, or organization embracing several states, was organized in 1857 and had its first communication or convention that year. The early growth of the organization was principally in the southern states, and it lost many members and much of its influence during the Civil War. The group was always conservative, with little effort being made to extend into other areas. After the Civil War, the group began to grow again, and during the 1870s experienced a rapid growth in membership, reaching a high point of 4,000 members. The Depression in the mid-1870s checked its growth and led to a movement for a general death benefit. When the Supreme Conclave rejected the idea, the Zeta Conclave of Baltimore forced a schism, leading to the creation of the improved Order of Heptasophs. There was an intense rivalry between the two groups for a few years, but this died down after the older order adopted its own benefit plan in 1880. The order worked 4 degrees: the initiatory degree, where the Persian pseudo-history is described, and 3 further degrees which illustrated the vicissitudes pursuing the course of duty, and to satisfy the modern demand for a military feature, an optional uniform rank was introduced. A life insurance branch named the endowment rank was established in 1880 and was open to members in good standing who passed a medical exam. The amount paid was $300. Finally, there was the Hept-Sophian Mutual Benefit Fund, which gave aid to the widows, heirs, and assignees of the members. Up to $500 on a 25-cent assessment. Larry needs to get in on that plan. Wives of members were also eligible for membership in the fund. Full membership was open to white males over 18 who were of good moral character, believed in a supreme being, possessed a known reputation and means of support, free from any mental or physical disability, and were educated enough to fill out their own application. Obviously, a very high bar. Each local conclave could set up its own upper age limit. The organization was typical of the day, with local subordinate conclaves, statewide grand conclaves, and the supreme conclave at the top. Grand conclaves were composed of past archons of subordinate conclaves, and the supreme conclave composed the past grand archons. At its height, the group was present in 18 states, principally in the South. Today, the order is extinct. Want to learn more about America's fraternal history? Visit the J.H. Rathbone Museum in Lafayette, Indiana, or online at jhrathbonemuseum.org, and be sure to like them on Facebook. Just search for J.H. Rathbone Museum.
Hey, and we're back, and we're getting kicked out of our restaurant. Apparently, we've been here for days camping. So, quick wrap up. We're out of here. And, I have nothing else going on.
Kremlin Penza, Noble Order Masonic Lights. Thank you, Bryan Hill. Thank you, Brother Ron Carson. Thank you, Youthful. Thank you, Seth Anthony. Corpora Obscurum. Hopefully you heard that.
If it's something important, I will record it after the fact.
This is Jason Lewis.
Jack Harley.
Jeff Moyer.
Larry Barris.
And Pete Ruggieri.
Bye, everybody.
I want you here.
Mm-hmm.